Welcome to Keep What You Earn, a show for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to scale and build enterprise value without making costly mistakes. I'm your host, Shannon. I'm a CFO and CPA who left a career serving Fortune 50 companies in Wall Street to help business owners just like you make life-changing wealth with your business. These episodes are meant to be super tactical and actionable, but please remember, consult your own financial professional before you implement anything you learn in this podcast. Now, if you'd be interested in working with us to do so, check out the show notes for more information about our company, Keep What You Earn Co. All right, let's start the show. About a year ago, I went to the workshop at the Hormozzi's headquarters, their acquisition.com scaling workshop. And I'm actually going again, which is super fun. And I learned something really impactful at that event. And the event that they host is really designed to help business owners unlock their constraint. So figure out what's holding you back from your next level of growth and kind of helping you not just sort of diagnose what that is, but also prescribe you some solutions and enable you to tap into their team to, investigate these different solutions and get suggestions, which is awesome. So I walked away from that workshop last year with a very clear idea of an objective that I had, which was hiring related. But the difference was that I had been hiring a lot of people that I knew I could train up and I knew that I could support and I knew could fulfill specific tactical needs in the business. And I think a lot of people do this in their beginning stages. But what I really took away a year ago was this very strong sense of need to hire someone smarter than me. And what that required was, I guess you could call it an ego death, but what it required of me was admitting that I don't have all the answers, admitting I don't know everything. And I have no problem admitting that, but I think that there is some comfort, especially when you work in a service industry, professional services, where your expertise is part of what you're selling, And you realize that, I'm actually not always the best person to be answering all the questions. I'm actually not the right person people should go to with all this stuff. We should have people who are smarter than me here. And it's not only about delegating your stuff. It's not even about like somebody else to fulfill on the SOPs you set, but somebody else in a leadership role that can actually set the SOPs instead of you, that you're going to trust them to lead and not just execute your vision, your plan. Now, you can be the visionary and they can help execute on that. But what I mean is that you don't have to dictate every way they do things. You can hire someone who is more than competent to find their own effective way of accomplishing the same objective, just a different way than you would. Although in theory, that is awesome. And it's like, yeah, everyone wants that. That's good for your business. That is challenging because when you're used to making all those decisions and having things done sort of your way, this is part of the appeal of having a small business, right? Having your own business is that you get to make the rules. And when you turn over the rule making, if you will, to somebody else, which is essential if you're going to be scaling, you have to be willing to let someone else set certain policies for you and set certain, how-tos, ways of doing things, where simply, as long as you're getting to the same destination, let people take better routes to get there. Let people use better cars than you would. Let people listen to different music than you would to get there. Let people do their own thing and just trust the fact that you'll meet them at the destination. And that is hard for a lot of people to grapple with, myself included. I mean, in theory, I agree with all of this, right? I'm saying it out loud, but there is like this instinctive reaction that feels a bit threatened or at least a bit uncomfortable with handing over control, handing over that ownership. And especially if you've been in business for a few years, you're not used to giving someone else control yet. And maybe your experience suggests that giving other people control ends badly for you. And you have experience to the contrary. And I think that all of this gets in the way of your growth. And here's why. Because as long as you are hiring people who are competent technically, they are a culture fit from a value standpoint and a culture, then you should be able to trust them with, making those decisions. And you should be able to get your butt out of the daily decision making and into that visionary seat and into tone setting and culture setting for the team. And that's something we're trying to do as well.
Hey, Shannon here, and I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying this podcast and enjoying this episode, please leave us a review on your podcast platform, whether that's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, any of them, and let us know if you're enjoying the show. One of your biggest takeaways, we would really, really appreciate it. Okay, back to the show.
Lately I have been hiring people who I literally put in the criteria, like I'm trying to hire people smarter than me. And by that, I mean people who are more heavily skilled in the specific areas where we need this support. Somebody that I'm not going to simply train, but somebody who's actually going to be educating me, somebody who's going to be coming up with new ideas, somebody who's going to be project managing on their own and just kind of telling me what I need to contribute. That is the goal right now. And it's a very different environment to be in when you're running a business and you're hiring leaders. And that's really what I took home from last year's conference, but also what I've been leaning into over the past several months is how can I train people, or better yet, how can I hire people to be better than me at everything? Who can I find who's better than me at these things? And how do I let them shine? And if you've never been a leader of people before, for example, myself, I have managed teams of 9, teams of 3, 4, 5, like I've managed everything from 1 to 9 people. And those people were generally self-motivated. They work for big companies just like I did, but it's different. When you work in a small company, when you're growing a business, you have to own everything from culture and tone setting to HR policies and all of this stuff. And people can come and go as they please. It's a little bit easier probably for them to enroll and quit jobs when you're working for smaller companies and startups. You don't have that name brand necessarily. So you have to take that responsibility to hire and retain top talent. And in doing so, in competing with the, big companies of the world who want this top talent, you have to offer competitive packages, a competitive culture to work in, and you have to be super clear about what it is you're expecting them to do. Especially if you're hiring leaders in your organization, you need to be hiring them and providing them what they need to be successful and grow. When you hire leaders in your organization, you have to be at your A game of enabling them to succeed, giving them access to training, giving them access to resources and people and mentorship, because the types of people that you're going to want in your organization are the types of people who crave these things. They crave growth. And you'll have to figure out how you can foster that. Because I'll tell you, if you want to grow your company and you're growing quickly, then you're going to need people who have a similar attitude to you with regard to speed of growth and an adaptability. And in turn, if they have these skills, if they have adaptability and they can grow quickly, then you're also going to have to provide the environment where they can do so and they won't get bored and they won't get complacent. So if you want these traits in someone, you also have to provide an environment where they can foster them. And I think that goes missed so many times. That A, you should hire people smarter than you. And B, if you're going to do that, you got to create a space that they want to be in. And you have to make sure that you're giving them the tools they need to be successful and helping them accomplish their goals too. And I've learned this through managing teams. I've learned this through running my own business and from working as a CFO for a dozen different businesses across the country where we're hiring leaders left and right. And this is all the stuff that we're looking for. We're seeing what works and what doesn't work. We're watching this both from the sidelines and in my own business, learning from this experience. And what I found is if you really want to grow, you have got to start really adapting to the mindset that everyone you hire should be smarter than you in the field that you're hiring them for. Because you can only sustain growing a business from building your own talent internally for so long. You have got to start bringing in other talent that brings in new perspectives. You can't simply bring in everyone junior and have them climb the ladder under you and somewhat indoctrinate them into your way of thinking. That is not how you're going to grow and build a business rapidly. It's just not. You need diversity of thinking. You need unique perspectives and experiences. And you need to work with the people who have already done the thing that you want to do, or at least know the path to get there and to help you. I'm telling you, it's the best way to grow at the pace that you want to and to really open up your eyes to the possibilities of what your business can turn into.
So profitability is one thing, but cash flow is what truly keeps your business running smoothly. It's not just about how much you make, it's about how much you can actually use to sustain and grow and maintain that cash in your control. When you book a power session with me, we can take a look at your payment cycles, your transaction timing, and your personal cash needs to make sure you're staying ahead of the curve. Managing cash flow is a constant process, but one of the most important pieces of the puzzle for a successful business. Find out more information about a power session with me to do your cash flow forecast in the show notes.